What up? It's me again. Um, Kind of maybe running out of content to say, but at the same time, I got so much stuff to say. Um, I'm still filming in my room. Eventually, I'm probably gonna, progress to some sort of graphics or something like that, as far as like an intro and outro, or maybe walking around like you see people all the time, that kind of thing. But right now, I'm just, like I said in the other videos, I'm just trying to find my voice. I'm just trying to talk. Vlog, as weak as that sounds, but at the end of the day, I don't really care who's watching, but maybe I'll get a few people that come in here. I've already got some friends from high school that have reached out and said what's up and, said they appreciate my story. So at the end of the day, I just want to be able to tell stories and help people through tough times, or maybe put things into perspective. Whatever I can do to lend my 2 cents, that's what I'm trying to do. So thanks for reaching out. Anybody who has so far, I definitely appreciate it. It's just me shit talking up here, but I hope I do pass a few nuggets of wisdom on as I go. But today, I'm going to talk a little bit about kind of my life motto has always been learn as you go. Probably not the safest or secure route to go, and I know a lot of people would think that's the craziest thing ever, but I've always been the kind of guy that's lived a little bit differently than most, and I guess that's kind of what made me stick out from the pack. Um, I've always had a mind that kind of ran wild. I was never a very creative person. I never really could draw or be musically talented by any means. Like, I never was creative in that sense, but I had this creative section of my mind that would just kind of wander, and it would always be curious. It would always want to learn things. So I fed that a lot, and I think that's also why I did okay in school, even though I hated school. Like, nothing in school interested me. Literally, I didn't like one class all through high school, but somehow I got A's and B's. Like, I did okay. I like to think I had some good genes. My mom passed on like a great mind to me. My mom and dad were both smart people. My dad, very, very common sense, smart, street smart. My mother, she was just smart all around about everything. So I got some good genetics, and that definitely didn't hurt. But when I was younger, all of my creative energy went to BMX riding, and even through my 20s, like everything I ever did creatively was exhausted through bike riding, and that's why I was able to do some tricks that nobody's ever done before, where I was the first to do. And for those of you who know me, there's one trick that I've done that I did 11 years ago almost now, and nobody's done it since. So just stuff that my inner workings of my brain would do that allowed me to kind of, I guess in a way, build a name for myself in the BMX world. But the point of the matter is, I wanted to learn things, that school wasn't teaching me, and that's kind of what I saw. Sorry about that. I just got a phone call, but I hit deny on it. Damn it. Anyways, I'm gonna have to edit these two together. But as I was saying, I wanted to learn things that school wasn't teaching me. So the idea was I wanted to learn everything I could, soak up information about anything. And thankfully, we live in a world where information is there. It's bam right in front of you. As soon as you want to know it, it's there. You just have to figure out what you want to know. Um, the type, the guy that's always Googling something. You're talking about something specific, and then they get on their phone and they start looking it up, and the conversation moves on to something else, and they're like, "Oh yeah, check this out. I just found out this about this," and you're like, "Dude, we were talking about that 10 minutes ago." I'm that guy. I'm the guy over there figuring out stuff, learning out about stuff. Geography was always a big one for me. Like, somebody would talk about something or a place, and I would Google it and I would start looking it up. I'd see where it was, how it came to be, who lives there, where it's at, how much flights would cost to get there. I was always like kind of rolling around in my head what could be possible with that situation, or that spot in the world. And that's kind of where I guess the curiosity of my travel mind has gone, learning that. And I've been a lot of places, and I'll talk about them someday, but that was a big catalyst for that. The other thing was I never went to college. I think I should have, and I wish I had. Not because I wanted a degree in anything specific, but I think I would have liked it just for um, the memories of it, the experience of it. Like, I would have been the dude that would ask the professors everything. I would have driven my professors wild. I know that for sure. And my sister currently is in college now, and I tell her to do that all the time. And whenever she does do that, she comes back to me and tells me about it, and it cracks me up. It's awesome. So she's kind of living what I wish I had done, when I was younger in life and been in college. But deep down, a motivating factor for me was to show everybody that you don't need to go to college to be successful. You don't need to have a degree to be successful. You just have to have a knowledge for learning. You have to have a thirst to learn as much as possible. Constantly push yourself, do different things, get outside your comfort zone. Too many people, they go to college, they get a degree, they paint themselves in a corner, and then 10 years after they graduate, they're a nurse and they're miserable. You know, some people become nurses and they're happy forever, and that's great. But sometimes you become a nurse and you don't like nursing after 10 years. And now what have you done? You spend all that money on an education to paint yourself in a corner. Now you have a few kids and you're miserable. You know, your husband sucks. He did the same thing. Your kids are shitty because they're mad at you because you guys are miserable. It's a slippery slope. I don't know how many people can relate to that, but if you can, don't be afraid to comment. But the point of the matter is, if you didn't go to college, if you want to be a self-taught person, the biggest thing is you got to have discipline. You got to have motivation, and you got to be driven. If you don't have those things, go to college, get a degree, and do that. There's nothing wrong with it, but stay away from the self-taught game because you will find yourself broke and poor and more miserable than anybody could be. So that's not a good thing either. It's whichever one works for you. Originally, I thought, you know, after high school, I was going to be this big famous BMX rider, and I was going to go do this, or I was going to go do that, and I was going to be Dave Mirra, and I was going to have the big house and the sweet cars and all that stuff. And I made my best damn attempt at it. You know, I went out there and I competed, and I met a lot of people, and I did pretty okay in a few contests. But, you know, BMX is a small niche type sport. So it's not like golf where you're, you know, get 6-figure paychecks for 95th place. Like, if you're in BMX and you're not top 5 or top 3 probably, like regularly for many years in a row, and then really smart with your money on top of that, you're going to be broke. You're not going to be making a whole lot of money. And I got by. I made a decent amount of money when I could, but it wasn't anything permanent. And I knew that from the get-go that it wouldn't be. So like I said, I had this thing where I was like, fuck, when I'm 25 years old, I mentioned this in another video, I kind of started thinking outside the box a little bit more. And I'm like, man, if you want to be successful, if you want to continue to live this passion and live this lifestyle, you've got to get outside of the box and you've got to start learning other stuff. And was the catalyst. You know, I had to learn everything. I learned everything I could. I learned to MC. I learned about real estate. I learned about finance. I learned about flipping houses. I learned about, you know, business, everything I possibly could. And if I hadn't done that, I would have drowned. I would have been done. I would have been that 30-year-old dude that just didn't make it. And I refused to do that because remember I said a minute ago, I didn't go to college. I didn't want to be another statistic of a loser who didn't go to college and then failed in life. I busted my ass off to learn as much as I possibly could for as long as I possibly could. And now I'm still doing it. You know, it's not like I'm ever going to get to a certain point and be like, oh, I made it. I'm happy. I'm good. I'm just done. No, you're not ever done. People come home after work and they watch TV, and that's their distressor. That's their chill. They have a beer and they watch TV. And sure, I'll do that. I watch all my favorite shows. I'm watching a show called Designated Survivor, usually once every other night. I love that show, but it's not something that I make a regular habit because instead of spending my evenings watching TV and drinking beers, I'm reading a book or I'm learning something or I'm talking to somebody about something. I'm out networking. I'm doing something that's going to bring me to a different level because like I said, there's no time where you never just make it. It's, I mentioned, I think I wrote a post about it the other day. It said, it's super cliche, but the journey is the destination, or the destination is the journey. You know, like you never make it somewhere because as soon as you make it somewhere, you're going to find something else you're going to want to get to also. Maybe that's why I'm not ever been married. You know, like every time I get a girl who I think I'm in love with, I realize, well, there might be someone else out there. I don't know. Maybe I'm just never happy with where I'm at, but I had no complaints about it. I stay pretty good. But anyways, trust me, like when I say learning as you go is only for those who are extremely disciplined. I mentioned it a second ago. If you're very, very disciplined, it's something you can do. You know, some people, they need college. You know, it provides a learning experience in a very structured environment. Huge advocate for college. Like I said, I wish I had gone myself, but since I didn't, it's only given me more motivation to have to succeed because I don't want to be a statistic. You know, that's kind of the story with that. If you're the type, some people will say like, Steve Jobs didn't go to college or Steve Jobs dropped out of college, you know, I don't need to either. You know, I don't need to do this crap. Then I hope that you read the Steve Jobs biography because I've read it a couple of times. It's a really good book, by the way. I've read it a couple of times and he was one of the most driven, disciplined, like people to ever walk this earth. like ever. And not only that, but he was brilliant. So he kind of had everything going for him. Like that man was the Einstein of our time, the Leonardo of our time. Like read that book. Just go do yourself a favor and get the Steve Jobs biography, even if you're an Android person. But you know, I still come by conflict every day. I'm not super rich, you know, like I struggle with things like this or that, and you know, it all depends. But like I do okay by myself. And again, I'm always constantly looking for something else. You know, I've got a house, you know, that I bought. I've got a truck that I own. Like I've got these things going for me, and I travel all over the world. I have a really cool job. Like I MC for Nitro Circus, and I do these cool things, but I'm never content with them. I'm always going above and beyond, and that is how you get to that next level. I don't care where you're at in life. But you know, it's led me to where I'm at, and I'm pretty happy with where I'm at so far, and I can't complain. I really can't. That's one of the reasons I wanted to do these videos. Is even if I inspire one or two people, you know, or two or three people, or a couple people, and maybe it snowballs a little bit. And again, doing these videos is just me getting outside of my comfort zone a little bit more to try to help other people, to motivate them, to help get them to do things they want to do, to help follow their dreams, to help go outside of their comfort zone. Because let's be honest, most people watching this, you're scared to death to do this. I mean, get on a YouTube video and just start talking. It's not as easy as you think, and I'm a people person, and I don't like doing it. But I'm on episode like 6 now or 7, and I'm just me standing in front of the microphone in my room. It's all right, you know, like I'm starting to kind of find a little bit of a groove with it, and an overall theme. And if the overall theme were to expose itself right now, it would be, I want to help people help themselves. And if I could do that by just talking on a microphone or talking in front of a camera every now and again, then all the more better, you know? So that's what I've learned. You know, creating a life for yourself allows you to do those things, but again, it requires discipline. When other people are out drinking or having a barbecue on a Sunday, you know, like that's cool and it's tempting to go do that stuff. But if you want to get above and beyond, if you want to rise above your current situation, it's another cliche thing, is if you do what everybody else is doing, you're going to get what everybody else is getting. Does that make sense? So if you want to do something above and beyond where you're at, you need to do something different than the people around you are doing as well. So one of my favorite quotes or favorite sayings is, you are the average of the top 5 people you hang out with most. So take your closest friends or your family, relatives, whoever you hang out with the most, the top 3 or top 5, you're the average of that. Not only net worth, but also just abilities and skills wise. So if you find yourself as one of the most smart and successful people in your core group of friends, you need to get a new group of friends, or not a whole new group, but you need to bring some other people in that are smarter, think different, and cause you to get outside of your comfort zone. Because if you don't do that, you're going to sit at that same level forever. So eventually, when I get good at this stuff, I'm going to start making charts and stuff instead of doing this with my hands. I'd rather do it with my hands. That's a Ricky Bobby quote. See, I watch a lot of movies. But anyway, so far, you know, for a kid who didn't go to college, spent his entire 20s riding BMX bikes, you know, traveling around the world, doing all that stuff, like, I like to think I'm chilling pretty good. And if you guys ever have any questions, I know there's only a handful of people watching this, but if you've made it this far, seriously, just message me privately on Facebook, comment below, you know, get away so I can get in touch with you, and I'm going to do my best to help you guys out as well. So thanks for watching. I'm calling it, putting a pin on this one. Peace.